Good evening. The boss of a homelessness charity in Plymouth says the number of people asking for help in the city is higher than ever before. Figures seen by ITV Westcountry show almost 200 different people visited the Shekinah Mission's drop-in centre last month at a rate of around 50 per day.
Cuts to welfare, the introduction of universal credit and problems with the justice system are being blamed for the rise. But the government says it remains committed to ending rough sleeping in the next few years. Sam Blackledge has this report.
Imagine your life takes a turn for the worse. You're sleeping rough, relying on loose change from passers-by for your next meal. Most of us think that couldn't possibly happen to us. But just listen to the story of 32-year-old Nikki.
I used to work for Tesco. Yeah, I never expected myself to end up on the streets. And I've always had somewhere to live, but I have no family or anything to fall on, so I've just, here I am.
Nikki and her partner Mark have been sleeping in doorways in the centre of Plymouth for the last 5 months.
It's cold, it can be wet, windy. Yeah, it's not nice. It isn't nice. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody, but, it's just, we've got to get on with it. There's nothing else we can do.
The number of people visiting a vital drop-in centre in Plymouth is rising all the time. In January, 176 different people used the service. By February, this was up to almost 200, an average of nearly 50 per day.
I've been doing this job for several years now, and they are probably some of the highest figures that I've seen. Now, that's not to say that we are not working incredibly hard with partner agencies and Plymouth City Council to address this. The government are chucking money at this, but unless they address some of the bigger system challenges, why are prisons still releasing people from prison directly onto street? Why are we still seeing people coming out of the care system directly onto the street? And unless we ask those broader questions, I think it's going to be really difficult to see a reduction in the numbers that we're seeing at the moment.
Nikki says changes to the welfare system, replacing housing benefit with universal credit, are pushing more and more people to the brink of losing their homes.
They're expecting people to be able to pay their own rent, and if you've got any issues with budgeting or, any substance abuse or, then putting the money straight into your account and expecting them to pay the landlord's quite difficult, Some people can't do that, and also the landlords have got no guarantee they're going to get their money at the end of the month, so they're not likely to help people in that situation.
At the other end of town, an advice centre run by Shelter has had to expand due to increasing demand.
There's a chronic shortage of social homes. Caps and cuts have increased and had an impact on the people that we work with, and the housing that we do have isn't covered by housing benefits. So we're seeing a real increase in people presenting at court in dire emergencies. We're seeing a real increase of people presenting here with housing issues and who are facing bad housing and homelessness.
The government says it has given Plymouth more than £1.3 million over the last year to tackle the issue, and adds that rough sleeping figures overall are down for the first time in 8 years. Plymouth City Council say Nikki and Mark have repeatedly rejected offers of accommodation and refused to engage with officers.
They always split couples up and put them in different hostels, and it's the reason we've been on the streets as long. We could have probably got in somewhere a bit quicker, but we put our foot down and sort of said we wanted to stay together. If I walked into anyone else's relationship and said, right, you've got to live in separate houses, it's not really where I want to be. So we're holding out.
And Sam is in Plymouth City Centre for us this evening. Sam, sad stories to hear in your report there. What are the challenges facing people sleeping on the streets there?
Yeah, well, quite simply, John T, it's cold, it's windy, it will soon be getting dark, and it's just generally not a very safe or pleasant way to spend the night. We're right in the centre of Plymouth here, and we've just come across this doorway. You'll be able to see an old duvet here, a cardboard box, clearly evidence that somebody has been sleeping rough here very recently. Now, homelessness is a complex issue. It's not something that's easily solved. But today I've been speaking to a senior member of Plymouth City Council's cabinet who told me with some emotion about his frustration that the council isn't able to do more to end the problem of rough sleeping here in the city.
I wish that we had a bit more resource, that we could actually make the big difference. Where I live, I have homeless people sleeping on the street outside my flat. I see it every day, and every day as I walk into work, I'm angry about it, and I want us to do more.
So clearly lots of anger and frustration that people are still being forced to sleep rough here in Plymouth. But there is work going on behind the scenes. The government has set an ambitious target of halving rough sleeping by 2022 and eradicating it altogether by 2027. Now, if you know of anybody who is sleeping rough in a location like this one, or anybody who may be struggling to find a roof over their head, go to the council's website. There's lots of information there about charities and organisations who may be able to help. And maybe one day we'll be able to walk through the streets of Plymouth without seeing somebody huddled in a doorway like this, just hoping to get through the night.
Sam Blackledge in Plymouth City Centre, thank you.